What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about Jan Baalsrud, who is a famous Norwegian commando that I have never heard of before. But apparently, he has an absolutely unbelievable story that took place during World War II, I think. So I'm just very curious, very interested to learn about Jan Baalsrud and his story. So today, we're going to watch a little video that's going to talk about why exactly he is such a famous Norwegian. So, with that being said, let's take a look.
Jan Baalsrud was born in 1917 in what is now Oslo, Norway.
Okay.
When the Germans invaded the country on the 9th of April 1940, Baalsrud fought against them for a time, but he soon realized it was almost pointless and fled to fight another day.
Oh, wow. This is absolutely terrifying to think about. So we're going back like almost about 100 years into the past, where Oslo is being invaded by Germans? I have to admit, I don't even know much about like Norwegian history during the World Wars or anything. So this is really all new to me. But I can at least empathize with how terrifying it would be for someone to be invading your home. And he tried to fight back, tried to resist, but ultimately realized it was futile at that time, and he actually had to run away from his home, like from Oslo, which is really quite sad.
He escaped the European continent via the Soviet Union, finding refuge in the UK by 1941.
Oh, wow.
But Baalsrud was a soldier, and that another day came around pretty fast.
Oh.
He joined the Norwegian...
That's already I'm starting to understand why he's kind of an extraordinary guy. Although I feel like probably a lot of Norwegians would feel very similar to him. He escaped Norway, escaped the invasion. He got all the way to the UK. He could have just ended it there and lived out his life in the UK or in safety, but he felt compelled enough to go back and fight another day when he could, which I think is exactly what we're going to hear about. That's just super awesome and inspiring to hear about that, how he got away. He was basically like home free, not really living the life he wanted, but he was safe. And he decided of his own free will to go back. That's amazing.
He joined the Norwegian company Ling of the British Special Operations Executive, or SOE, after the unit was formed early in 1941.
Oh, wow.
And was soon back in the action, tasked with sabotaging the German occupation of Norway in concert with the Norwegian resistance movement.
Wow, Norwegian resistance movement. This is World War II. I didn't know about any of this stuff. This is a story about like Jan Baalsrud in particular. But to me, this is also like Norwegian history that I'm learning for the first time. So there's a whole Norwegian like military team coming out of the UK during this time that he was a part of.
In March, Baalsrud and 11 other Norwegians set sail on the fishing boat MK Brattholm 1 from Scotland for Norway, with the objectives of organising the resistance and otherwise effing with the Germans in Tromsø.
Wow.
To avoid detection after they had crossed the North Sea, Ling Company used Norway's many fjords for cover,
Right.
but they only got so far.
Real? Oh, wow. I was thinking like maybe this group of Norwegians had like special insider home information, home field advantage. Like maybe they knew some of these fjords and river systems better. Like I'm sure they did know them better, but inevitably it sounds like, man, they're going back to Norway to help Norwegians, basically, who couldn't get out and build a resistance, which is extraordinary. Like that is actually amazing. Really amazing group of Norwegians. But it sounds like they are gonna get captured? Is that right?
When the unit stopped on the island of Rebbenesøya, not too far north of Tromsø, they met with a Norwegian resistance contact who wasn't actually a resistance contact at all. The dude was just some random shopkeeper who had the same name as their contact, and he went on to alert the Germans of Ling Company's presence.
What? Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? That actually happened? That's actual history. You're kidding me. What bad luck is that? What is that? They were traveling around secretly in Norway. They were trying to find their contact. They accidentally find this guy with the same name as the person they were trying to talk to. And it's just some random guy who rats on them, who turns them in. That's kind of unbelievable. You think you have bad luck? Like, bad luck happens throughout history to all sorts of circumstances and people, and bad luck happened to Jan Baalsrud and his company here. What?
Fearing the encounter had been set up by the Germans to test him. On the 29th of March, the German frigate Homboot R56 tracked down and attacked Bratholm.
Oh.
Totally unprepared to go toe-to-toe with the frigate, Ling Company lit a fuse connected to the 8 tons of explosives they had been transporting aboard the fishing boat for use in sabotage operations.
Okay.
Before Bratholm exploded, Ling Company pulled a fast one, attempting to get away on lifeboat.
I'm like, what are they doing? They are being chased by Germans, and they're carrying a ton of explosives, and they are going to blow up their own ship, but hopefully escape first. I was like, why do they want to blow themselves up? Maybe so the Germans don't get this equipment, I imagine.
The Germans, however, weren't feeling all that merciful, sinking the lifeboat and sending the entire company into the ice-cold water.
Wow.
One of the 12 men was immediately shot dead, while a further 10 were captured and then tortured and executed by the Gestapo. Jan Baalsrud was the only man to get away, making it...
What? This is absolutely terrifying. Like, I mean, in a way, it's good to, like, keep history alive and acknowledge that these horrible, horrible travesties happened. Oh my god, I just wasn't expecting that so quickly. Like, for most of the members of his Norwegian team, they were shot dead or tortured and then executed. Like, that's obviously, like, there's no words, like, that's horrible. But Jan Baalsrud escaped. He was the one member of this Norwegian team to escape this, really.
The Gestapo. Jan Baalsrud was the only man to get away, making it to the snow-covered shore with his pistol and just one boot.
Oh my god.
His clothes soaked and already starting to crystallize, Baalsrud fled to a gully where he hid behind a rock to avoid the German patrol which was hunting him down.
So when the Germans blew up their lifeboat, like, everyone got captured except for Jan, who swam away and basically hid behind a rock in the freezing cold. Really?
When they were almost upon him, he seized the initiative and opened fire, only to learn in the heat of the moment that his pistol was jammed.
No!
He took out a fresh mag, thumbed out the first 2 rounds, and then dropped 2 Germans.
Really?
The others soiled themselves, fleeing the Norwegians' wrath.
No freaking way! Jan Baalsrud is a badass. Plain and simple. Are you kidding me? He survived the ship blowing up, survived the lifeboat, swam in the freezing cold, hid, then popped out. He killed 2 Germans after his gun got jammed. He reloaded, killed 2 of them, and scared the rest away. This story, this is a very sad story, actually, so far. Very traumatic story. But also, on the other side, it's very inspirational. And actually, like, as horrible as things are going for Jan Baalsrud, this is pretty awesome to hear about what he actually did during this mission.
But this was only the start of Baalsrud's journey. Over the next 2 to 3 months, he went through absolute hell. If it weren't for a bit of luck and some brave locals, he would certainly have perished.
Really?
So close to the action that they were able to see the Bratholm explode, a local family sent a boat out to collect Baalsrud later that night.
Okay.
The family, the Idrupsons, knew the consequences if they were caught housing a fugitive, but they did it anyway, as would
So these are fellow Norwegians living nearby who later gave Jan like a trip back to their house or what?
many families over the next few months.
And it was very, very, very risky for them to do this, but there you go. It's wonderful to hear about these types of stories of people helping each other during these horrible times and extending like humanity towards each other, fellow Norwegians and stuff.
After some much needed rest, Baalsrud went inland on foot, only seeking the assistance of others when he believed he couldn't survive without it. At one point, a young girl bandaged Baalsrud's frostbitten feet.
Oh, God.
At another, a fisherman gave Baalsrud some fresh boots and a pair of skis.
A pair of skis! A pair of skis! How Norwegian is that? But I guess when you're traveling around Norway, like in the winter, it's not a joke. Like having a pair of skis is really helpful for getting around. It's just funny because you would never hear that like in the United States or so many places. Only, of course, in this Norwegian story, he gets a pair of skis. Of course.
Along the way, he was caught out in a blizzard on the side of the mountain where the weather was so intense that his eyes froze shut. Not one to give up so easily,
What?
Baalsrud navigated by throwing snowballs and listening for the sound of them landing. If he couldn't hear it, it was possible the snowball had gone off a treacherous drop.
Oh, wow.
As if things weren't bad enough.
Jan Baalsrud is very resourceful, obviously very, very capable, surviving on his own in this really harsh blizzard and winter, journeying around Norway. What exactly is he trying to accomplish at this point? Wandering around Norway alone, trying to survive. Does he have a new mission? Does he want revenge? Does he want to help other Norwegians? I'm curious what he's trying to do now.
An avalanche thought it would try and take down Baalsrud next, bowling him around 90 meters or 300 feet into the valley below.
Oh my god.
When he came to consciousness, he was snowblind and his ski equipment had been destroyed.
Oh my god.
Somehow, walking away from all of that, Baalsrud made it to the village of Foruflatter, where he was, entirely by chance, taken in by the family members of a Norwegian resistance fighter.
Oh wow. This is another, like, not the first time that there are Norwegian resistance around Norway helping other Norwegians who are traveling or in need of help, giving them a place to stay. That's amazing. That's an amazing part of World War II in Norway that I didn't even know about. That's incredible.
The family, the Grunvolds, had hidden Baalsrud in their barn, so well in fact that the Germans hunting him completely overlooked his hiding place when
Really?
they searched the barn.
Wow.
While Baalsrud had gained a few days' rest, his frostbite had spread, rendering the poor man immobile.
Oh my god.
The village really came together for Baalsrud then, carrying him to a nearby fjord on a stretcher and then rowing him across the fjord while pretending to fish.
No way. Not just Jan Baalsrud, but all these Norwegians are freaking awesome. Awesome, willing to put their lives on the line to help each other. Jan has frostbite. He can't walk. He's been through an avalanche. He's not doing great. He's not doing great. So let's keep going.
On the other side of the fjord, Marius Grunvold realized Baalsrud would never survive the terrain on his own. Leaving Baalsrud alone in a tiny shed with some supplies, including some moonshine, Marius returned to the village to acquire a sled.
Okay.
This didn't happen overnight, and Baalsrud ended up being stranded in that shed alone for way longer than he had expected.
Oh my god.
While he was there, his feet, as a result of the frostbite, became so badly infected that he was forced to amputate one of his big toes.
This is all because Jan decided to leave the safety of the UK and come back and fight for Norway. I don't think even he could have anticipated the literal hell that he was going to go through during this. This is actually getting crazier and crazier. Now his toe fell off. on top of everything.
When Marius, along with some of his buddies, returned, they attached Baalsrud to a sled and dragged him to another higher up hiding spot, where they left him for an additional 9 days.
Oh my god.
Baalsrud spent this time shivering in a snow cave. After he was moved yet again...
Oh my god. And this story keeps going. This is obviously the hardest thing he's gone through in his entire life, by far. Like, imagining a human being going through this is difficult.
He got to his feet and wandered for 5 days in a state of utter confusion and despair, until yet another team found him and moved him to a cave, where he spent 17 days waiting for someone else to come transport him to Sweden.
Oh, he's trying to get to Sweden. Okay. I was like, what is he trying to do now? He's trying to get to Sweden for, like, medical help? And was it safe in Sweden? Like, was Sweden not occupied by Germans? I don't really know the history here. But okay, that's good to know.
While he was in that cave, Baalsrud took a knife to the rest of his toes, leaving himself with 2 flat stumps for feet.
Oh my god.
Finally, after Baalsrud's body had quite literally eaten itself, bringing his weight down to just 36 kilograms or 80 pounds, a group of indigenous Norwegians came to his aid, attaching a reindeer to his sled and dragging him over a frozen lake into Sweden.
No freaking way. This is like the 4th time. Norwegians, this time indigenous Norwegians, at the perfect time when he needed it most, came to Jan's rescue. So this is not just a story about Jan Baalsrud and how cool he is and what a survivor he is. He's awesome, but this is also a story about many different communities of Norwegians helping him, going out of their way to help him when he would have died without their help. So there's more to this story than just Jan, actually.
Even if you're Jan Baalsrud, though, you don't just recover from something like that overnight.
No.
He spent 6 months in a hospital, regaining his eyesight and learning how to walk all over again.
Oh, that's right. He was also, like, blind. Like, blinded by the snow or something. Blind, no toes, and then finally got to Sweden, taking a very, very much deserved rest for 6 months.
After that, the British Royal Air Force flew him back to the UK, where he trained other Norwegians like himself.
Oh, wow.
After the war, he returned to Norway, and while his story gained legendary status among his people, Baalsrud lived it, and he was less than eager to make a big thing of his suffering.
Wow. So that's why his story is so legendary, so famous, because it's crazy. It is absolutely insane that he went through this. It's also a lovely story about Norwegian, like, helping each other, Norwegians and community and brotherhood. That's wonderful to hear. So after losing all his toes and going sort of blind and all of this, I don't think he could be part of the military, except that he did stay in the UK and trained Norwegians, which was something he could still do, which was amazing. And people heard about his story. He became a big deal, but he didn't even want to become, like, a big famous, like, figure, or he wanted to be humble about it, which is also very, very Norwegian of him.
In an interview later in life, he said, "I had forgotten the whole story, or rather, I had tried to forget it all." For his service, Baalsrud was awarded the St. Olav's Medal with Oak Branch, and was made a member of the Order of the British Empire.
Oh, wow. What is this? Old for Norge. This is like a Norwegian medal? I think every country has their own version of this. In America, it's the Medal of Honor. This says Old for Norge. Yeah, Hakon the 7th. Very cool.
In 1962, he moved to the Canary Islands, but he returned to Norway in the waning years of his life, where he died in 1988 at 71 years of age.
Wow.
Books.
Wow, so he actually died in Norway and was buried in Norway, which is good.
Books, documentaries, and films have been made about Jan Baalsrud, and he is honored each year in Norway through a remembrance march.
Oh,
but
really?
we're interested to hear what you think. Had you heard of Jan Baalsrud before?
Oh my gosh. No, I had never heard of Jan Baalsrud. Uh, Most Americans have never heard of him. I think the vast majority of Americans have never heard of this. Apparently, there's some movies about this, which makes sense because this is an insane story. Um, is this a famous story in Norway? I think it is, which is so like amazing to me, and amazing that like most Americans have never heard of this, because this is a truly legendary story. This is a great video, by the way. This was by The Front, and I got to give this a like, because I liked the video, but a lot of it was kind of traumatic, terrifying. But that's the story. It's a story of survival and perseverance, and Jan fighting for his country and not being afraid, and also of community of Norwegians helping each other and helping Jan survive and be able to tell this story one day, even after losing all his toes. My God, this was absolutely insane. That is the most insane, like, individual story of survival, military story I've heard. That's crazy. In the best way possible. I really am happy I took some time to learn about this. I enjoyed this so much. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on Jan and this story or anything like that. That'd be very fun to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and Norwegian culture and learning things about Norway, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.